Now, experts in coffee farming have called on young people to consider coffee farming as a means of income earning. Speaking during the Coffee Power Talk earlier today, representatives from Brazil say this is the only way to ensure that coffee farming continues to generate income for time. And for information on that, let's now join my colleague Victoria Amunga, who had a one-on-one interview with Eduardo Sampaio, a coffee expert from Brazil. Take a look.
Well, I'm now joined by Eduardo Sampaio, the coffee and cocoa field representative in Brazil, who will be talking to us much more about coffee production in Africa and the entire world, considering the fact that Brazil is one of the superpowers in coffee production. Thank you very much, Senor, for joining us. Well, now, to start us off, why is it that coffee production is dwindling in African countries and especially Africa, Kenya? What is Brazil doing best?
I think I'm not saying that we are doing best. What we discussed here today probably is the fact that in Brazil we start calculating our production costs much earlier. So because of the price of land, also labor, machinery, cost of fertilizers, one must compare its farming opportunities to other crops. So much so that coffee has to be profitable to be competitive when dealing with this scenario we have discussed. So I think 20 years ago we really dig into the mechanism of cost production determinations. And I think that's the main difference, but I think you are getting there.
Talking about mechanization, a lot of debate has been around the mechanization concept, and most people would argue that if you mechanize farming, then most people would lose jobs. How important is mechanization in terms of farming and especially in coffee production?
That's a very complex talk. I think not only in coffee, sugarcane, for example, in São Paulo state has prohibited sugarcane burning. So it's all mechanized. Different types of jobs have been offered to the sugarcane industry, like industries to make utensils, to make goods and inputs. So it created more valuable job positioning by having increased mechanization. And I think this concept is also valid for coffee, that we could create more consumers, more differentiation in industry with value aggregation. But when concerns to maintenance production of coffee, that's our challenge, next challenge. How to mechanize or partially mechanize mountains, doing terracing, doing pruning, handheld machinery, and that's a big challenge. Obviously, the extent of mechanization will be not of that same dimension we could put together in place on flat lands. But that will involve thousands and thousands of producers and scientists and investigators in this task. Obviously creating thousands of jobs as well. So mechanization should be seen as also a driver to empowerment and to aggregating value.
You've successfully been able to ensure that young people get involved in coffee production. What can nations borrow from Brazil in terms of ensuring that young people get involved in coffee production, and especially here in Kenya?
Yeah, I think what we have to say about this is that we have to admit that still thousands of producers will abandon the activity, but we want to make sure that those who will be doing coffee for the future have enough income to overcome all the important world's obstacles and topics such as climate change, gender, profitability, soil and water conservation, which is indeed what we have to do to continue surviving as humankind. So we have to concentrate on the yield and profitability while we conserve natural resources, making sure that those who will continue receive enough technical and wise information and have enough good income to continue.
Talking about issues on payment, we've seen a lot of issues also in most African countries, speaking about Kenya in particular, in terms of farmers getting payments from the coffee that they grow. How have you been able to ensure that the coffee farmers maximize on in terms of what they get from the crop?
I mean, in Brazil, the market has been liberalized so much ago. As I said during the presentation, Brazilian producers receive 92% of the FOB price. I think that's a negotiation that has to be happening for so long. I think we have to look at a win-win situation to perpetuate the business. Sustainability, in one of its definitions, could be seen as a perpetuation of the business. So we want to make sure that coffee will remain as a hot beverage for the future, and in order to assure that, we need a better income for the farmers. Every part and every sector has its own share, and this has to be negotiated amongst the sectors. And I think what we have done today here in Power Talk is frankly and sincerely and with the necessary commitment approach to these serious issues.
What's the government's involvement in encouraging young people to get into coffee farming?
Yeah. Not as much as it was in the past. Today, actually, we do have a situation that is not good for Brazil, which is consumers in the cities not fighting, but not appreciating what we do at farm level. They think we are deteriorating the environment. So we are doing a work more concentrated on our communities, trying to convince our next neighbor that by doing agriculture, coffee in our case or cocoa, we can maintain the quality of the water as it is. We can ensure he will be drinking water. So water shall be seen as a product of agriculture. That dimension of thinking is what you have to do best now to assure that we dialogue with consumers. And we have to involve politicians closer to us. This is my personal opinion. Sometimes it's difficult to go to Brasilia, our capital, to discuss that level of discussions of challenges in the local ministries. But as far as it concerns to national level, we are trying also together with the National Coffee Platform to present these coffee cases, these power talks, the working together approach to the Minister of Agriculture, so that is being seen as a nice to have approach and obtain their support. This is the level of activities and status of the situation as it is now in Brazil.
And finally, from where you sit, what are the opportunities there that in the coffee farming industry?
They're tremendous, big thing. Coffee is still a profitable business if it's well managed. So I think we have to take that perspective on and on. So the youth is involved, gender is ensured, and also we put value on consumer side. Machinery, inputs, fertilizers, technology also can make that profit. So you have to look at the whole chain approach, the whole value chain approach.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
It's really been a pleasure of being here in Kenya and drinking this wonderful coffee of yours.
Definitely. Senor Eduardo Sampaio, Field Cocoa and Coffee Field Representative from Brazil, speaking to Ebru TV. I'm Victoria Amunga. Thanks for watching.